Welcome. This is Getting Your Edge, How to Right Size Your Home and Life podcast. My name is Dennis Day, and I'm here with my special guest, Jessica Morrow of Revive. And we're going to discuss how to improve your bottom line when you want to sell your home. I'm really excited about this because Revive is a great product. I think it can really help people increase their home's value when they sell. So, Jessica Morrow, let's start off telling us who you are, what is Revive, and how it can help people improve the sale price of their home.
Perfect. Thanks so much for having me, Dennis. As you mentioned, I'm Jessica Morrow. I'm the Chief of Staff at Revive. We're a California-based company, and essentially we help homeowners maximize the value of their home. Our mission is really to transform the home selling experience for homeowners and real estate professionals by leveraging innovative technology, financial solutions, and a network of fully supported contractors to renovate to maximize sales price. And essentially, that's what we do, help people renovate to maximize their home value.
Okay,
What we
how
know is that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, apologize. I interrupted. Go ahead.
I was going to say that today's buyers prefer turnkey upgraded homes. It's the HGTV generation. So we're helping to bring that product to market.
Okay. So, how are you different from a contractor who does remodeling that's local?
Sure. So we partner with local contractors. And so any contractor that is working on our home is going to be local. They just happen to be pre-vetted and trained by Revive. The difference is that Revive fully supports those contractors. We do the design tailored to buyer's taste. We bring that vetted contractor. We do all of the planning and getting everything into that contractor's hands. So front and back office for them so they can efficiently and effectively do that job. And then the cherry on top is that we front the money. So we pay for everything up front and get paid back at closing.
So, if seller wants to use Revive, they will not have to put down a deposit or pay any upfront costs. It all comes out at closing. Is that correct?
That's correct. So as long as that homeowner has enough equity to pay us back, then yeah, there's no upfront cost. It's all collected at the closing table.
And generally, how much equity must they have as a percentage?
So typically we're looking for them to have what we would like to see as a 20% equity buffer. So we do the simple math is we look at the after renovated values and calculate what we think the home will be worth after renovation. And then we want to make sure that they have enough money to pay off any debt that's on the home. So pay off their mortgage. We want to make sure they can pay their realtor and pay us back for the renovation. And then we want to be about a 20% buffer there just in case of any market fluctuations.
What are the trends in downsizing? Have you noticed anything? Are there more people moving to smaller homes, condos, vacation properties? What have you seen at Revive?
Well, we've definitely seen people moving to smaller homes. As I mentioned, we're a California-based company. We work in multiple states, but our backyard is California. And so something we've noticed a lot is people downsizing and moving out of California and into more reasonably priced areas.
And what about the impact of remodeling on this, on the bottom line? How significant can the upgrades lead to a better sales price for the homeowner?
It can be very significant in many cases. There's a stat that I wanted to share that 6% of sellers leave anywhere from 15 to 20% of their home equity on the table if they don't do any pre-sale renovations. This value add large, especially if it's done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And something to touch on is there's many ways to get a home ready for market. We see buckets. There's value preservation and then there's value add. And each could be right for different clients, but we can help people with renovations such as fixing a leaky roof or just simply decluttering and staging a house. Those are things that would be value preservation versus the value add items that are going to be appealing to the wide range of buyers, like paint, flooring, new kitchens and bath, landscaping are typically the items that are going to bring the best return on investment.
So how do you figure out what the renovations will be the best for individual homes?
It's a great question. So the way that we do that is by we analyze the home as it is, and then we do an analysis, just like realtors do, of the comps in the neighborhood. And we want to try and figure out what is the client's goal. So if the client's goal is to hit the highest exit price possible, we're going to want to look at the homes in the area that have sold for that highest price. And we're going to want to see what did those people do. And we're going to want to do similar renovations. And so we do an analysis to see what do we need to do to this home to meet the client's goal. And typically that's figuring out what other homes sold for at the highest and what they did, and then tailoring those renovations that way.
Okay. How is the home seller involved in the process of figuring out which renovations to do and so forth?
The seller and the agent it's really completely up to them as to what renovations they want to do, budget they want to spend, and what level of finish they would like.
Mm.
And then it goes to Revive to do the actual design to fit into each of those boxes. But the homeowner, we get together with the homeowner and their agent to really understand their goals and help be a guide. But at the end of the day, the homeowner's in control of what gets done and how much it costs.
Do they have control over things like the paint color and the which cabinets might go in, so forth?
So they don't. We have a product called Renovate to Stay for people who aren't selling their homes, and they get to meet with the designers and go through the whole process. But our Renovate to Sell program is really designed for efficiency, for speed, and it's really tailored to buyers' tastes. And oftentimes when a home seller gets too involved in that process, they start making decisions based on their own tastes and not necessarily based on what the buyers are looking for. So no, the paint colors, we try and make that as neutral. We've done it thousands of times and really know what the buyers are looking for.
So you're looking at what buyers are looking for, and you're looking at trends in homes that have been selling in the area. So what are some of the common mistakes that homeowners do when they renovate by themselves?
So we touched on that a little bit in the last question. So the first thing is designing to their own taste versus what the sort of HGTV next millennial generation are looking for. So that could be one. And then another thing is either spending too little or spending too much. So we see that when people renovate or make their own decisions, sometimes they feel like, let's save money and just invest a little bit. But oftentimes then they miss the return because they're spending too little. Other times people overinvest and don't get a return on the investment. And so there's definitely a sweet spot, and that it helps to have another professional involved to help make those decisions. Some others are going with the wrong contractor or just trying to find the cheapest price over quality. Sometimes people just get in their own way, and something that we require and we can also help people with is to be out of the house during renovations. Living through a renovation can sometimes be really detrimental. And
it's awful, especially kitchen renovation. It's just horrible. Anyways, go ahead.
So those would be some of but I would say number one is spending too little or too much, or really designing to your own taste versus really thinking about what a buyer would be looking for.
So one of the things that if you were to renovate on your own, what things would you don't return value? We talk about our return on investment, and some things do return an investment and some don't. What are some things that do? And then we'll go to what things that don't.
And this can change based on the market, but the area. But I would say that the things that bring the most return on investment, number one is simply depersonalization. There's a stat, I think, that a house that's depersonal will sell for about 2 to 3% more than a one that's personalized.
Can you send what
Sure.
depersonalize me?
Depersonalization would simply be decluttering, taking photos down, taking tchotchkes and knickknacks down, just making it into a more of a neutral, less lived in space. So that would be number one. And
Mhm.
staging, I think, is the second, which brings on average, I think, a 3 to 4% return. So those are two big things. But when it comes to actual renovations, we see neutral paint being probably the number one return on investment. New flooring is a big one. After that, you probably get into refreshed or renovated kitchens and bathrooms. And then the two other things that we find that bring a return are light landscaping. So curb appeal type of items and landscaping.
Mm.
And just those small accessories like new door handles, new door hinges, new baseboards. There's little features that actually are inexpensive to do and bring a good return.
So what you were talking about depersonalizing and you want kind of a generic home. Why is that? Why doesn't the seller want to broadcast the life in the home?
A buyer, when they walk into a home, they want to be able to envision what it would be like for them to live there. And they want to be able to, yeah, just really envision their life in that home. And I think that can get clouded if you're looking at the 20 photos of the grandchildren on the wall. That is
Right?
hard to then envision that
Mm.
it's your home. And so it's really about allowing that experience for the buyer to make it feel like they could personalize it for themselves and their family.
What are the big things that don't return your investment?
This can differ from place to place, but things like digging a new pool, things like adding solar,
Mm.
some cases. So some things that don't add as much ROI. Yes. And it's the personalized things that you may feel like, gosh, we've always wanted to add that waterfall in the backyard, or these things that are really personal to people that just maybe aren't as important to others. But it's the types of things that are a little too niche.
I heard that a brand new deck, which is quite expensive, is not really a good return on investment.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Now, if your deck is not to code or it's falling apart, things like that, so fixing it. But yeah, sometimes building new things, building a gazebo, as I mentioned, digging a pool, putting in an exotic tree. These are things that maybe if you lived there and you love that sort of thing,
Mhm.
might be nice, but not that's going to actually get a return on your dollar. Those things don't bring the ROI, and we leave that more up to the buyers of the property to do something
Okay.
like.
So let's talk about some of the success stories you've had in downsizing where Revive has come in, done the work, and then the owner has really succeeded in getting a great price for their home.
As I was thinking about this question, a particular client came to mind, and this was a couple of years ago. But Kimberly was a homeowner who owned a home here in California, and she had owned it for about 25, 30 years and had raised kids in the home. It had been her home for a long time. And she ran into some financial difficulty. It was around when COVID was really rampant and she had lost her job and she had gotten really, really behind. She was behind on her mortgage and she was having a hard time sort of being in the California hamster wheel. And her house was also in bad shape. And her house was probably worth about $350,000 in its as is condition. It was missing flooring in places. It was not in great shape. And so we came in and we invested about $100,000 in the house. And that was new paint and new floor and some kitchen and bathroom upgrades. And it raised the price of that house or the value of that house significantly. I think she sold it for about 650 or $700,000. So
Mm.
she made anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 more than she would have selling it as is. She moved to Denver. She wanted to move to Colorado, the outskirts. She moved into a prefab home. So she really got a home that was a lot less expensive. She was also able to invest in small investment property with those funds. And what was really amazing is she went from being in a really dire situation where retirement was not even on the table to being able to live out the rest of her life really well. And so she was able to what we would say is to retire with dignity. And there's a really impact story because I, got to work actually really closely with her and see how significant that was for her life. And so that was one that really sticks with me for a downsizing story.
You changed your life. Does Revive have any stats about, on average, how much after your renovation will gain in sale price versus selling as is?
Yeah, there is. So as I mentioned, a lot of people leave at 15 to 20% of the value on the table. They don't renovate. We are seeing our averages most recently are about $146,000 more than selling as is. That's just an average number.
146.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Now, you offer all these services. How does Revive survive as a business? How are you compensated?
That's a great question. So Revive actually makes its money from the contractors. And so it's really nice that the homeowners not only don't have to pay till closing, but there's no fees or interest or anything on the money. The way that Revive makes its money is by getting paid from the contractors for all the support we provide to them. So I mentioned the design, each project gets an owner's representative assigned. We help them with the scope and the permitting. And so we're really the full front and back office for these contractors. And we get paid for the services we provide them and are able to offer a really competitive price to the homeowner as if they were hiring a regular contractor, but without any payment till close.
And that really makes a big difference when, like in the example you had, where somebody who really needs to move and doesn't have the money to
Yeah.
keep the, or those homeowners who have a hard time or can't afford to maintain their home. So what do you think,
Yeah.
what do you see in the future for renovation and downsizing in, say, the next 10 years or so?
Well, as far as renovation and downsizing over the next 10 years, I think it's going to be similar. I think that people will continue to need to downsize.
Mm.
People will, so that will be a pattern that I'm sure will continue. People moving, downsizing or moving out of state. The future for us in this industry is we want to continue to offer options, clients to homeowners and agents so that they can achieve their goals. And something that we're excited that we're working on is a software that we call Vision AI today. And essentially, we want every single homeowner at the click of a button to know all of their options when selling a home. We want them to know everything about the neighborhood, everything about their own home, the value of their home as it is, what they could do to that home to raise the value, and created a product. And we're continuing to make it better. And this is a product that uses computer vision. And essentially, with a click of a button, you could put your address in, upload photos of your home, and in seconds, it does an analysis and gives you all of your selling options. And so that's something that we're really excited about. And we want to be in the hands of every homeowner, whether they're upsizing or downsizing. We want them to know all of their options and to help them reach their goals.
I don't know if it's happened, but what if you do this renovation and the homeowner says, "Oh, I love it. I want to stay."
It's happened one time.
One time. Totally.
And it's happened one time. A lot of people love their renovations, but most people have moved on to their next place. But it did happen one time where someone was fallen back in love with the house. We don't want to move. And so that homeowner simply paid us back for the renovation and kept their home.
Right.
And we do
This,
have a renovate to stay product where anyone, even if they're not selling their home, could utilize our services and our contractors and our streamlined process to renovate a home that they'd like to stay in. They just have to pay for it in installments like you would a regular contractor.
It sounds like it's very simple and easy for the homeowner versus trying to find a contractor or being their own subcontractor.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of fear and anxiety that it comes with finding, hiring, and managing your own contractor. And you could probably ask anyone who's ever done it. There's almost everyone has a horror story, either that they've gone through themselves or they know someone who's had a hard time. So we're trying to alleviate that fear and that stress and those constraints to make it easier for the everyday homeowner to do that.
And at the time of design and so forth, the homeowner says, no, this is going to cost me too much. I don't want to do this. I'm going to go my own. Is that something that Revive can handle?
Absolutely. We are there to offer options and our guidance. And we always bring it back to ROI and the homeowner's goals. But if that is something that they choose to do on their own, then that's completely fine. As I mentioned, we also have services where we can provide just design services, or we could offer more and tailor it to that person. But it's totally fine to come to us, get your options and understand. And if you don't end up going with Revive, that's okay too.
You mentioned the Revive to Stay. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. As I mentioned, whether you're selling or keeping your home, renovations can be scary. They can induce a lot of fear and anxiety. So a big value for Revive's Renovate to Sell is that we front the money. But that's just a small portion of it. The ability to tap into a vetted contractor network, to have a designer, to have a streamlined process can be really beneficial for people who are just renovating to stay. Anyway, Renovate to Stay. Yeah, it's a way to tap into all of the services and efficiencies that Revive has created. And for homeowners who'd like to do that, they pay a small design deposit and they make payments as the project progresses, but they get everything that they would have gotten with a Renovate to Sell: the design support, the owner's rep from the Revive team who helps to keep the project on track and on budget. So it's a great way for people to tap into a streamlined renovation process.
And Revive has the Revive to Sell, Revive to Stay. Is there any other Revive projects going on?
Yes, we have one other, and it's called Sell 360. So there are some homeowners who have a home that is in need of renovations. They want to sell, but they simply don't have the time to go through the process. That does take some time. There's time to prep for the renovation. Then there's the actual time to renovate. And then there's the time to sell the house. And so you could be talking about 3 extra months or so. And a lot of people, especially if they're in some kind of financial distress or whatever it may be, they don't have time for that. And so oftentimes those sellers are left to sell on the open market to what we call like a vulture investor and leave a lot of money on the table. So we came up with a product called Sell 360, where we purchase the home from the homeowner, we renovate the home, and then we pay them all of the profits on the back end. So they get a portion of their profits up front. We take on the renovation, and then we take on we sell the house. And then it's really great because the homeowner then gets all of the additional profits, less a small Revive fee of 6%. It's usually people who are in some kind of need to sell quickly, but don't want to leave the money on the table or sell to a vulture investor. So it's really great way to tap into the renovation without having to wait.
Sounds fantastic. I really enjoyed working with Revive when I worked with John and I think you're a great company. So I highly recommend it to any of our listeners or viewers because they do a bang up job and they have 3 different programs: the Seller 360, the Renovation to Sell, and Renovation to Stay.
I just really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to us and learn about our company. And at the end of the day, we want to help homeowners maximize the value of their home and keep all of their hard earned equity in their pocket. And so I appreciate you letting me speak to your viewers and listeners about it.
If someone wanted to get more information about Revive, where would they go?
They would go to www.revive.date. So you can find it at revive.real online.
And what was that percentage that people are leaving on the table without using a remodel renovation project like Revive?
Typically, 15 to 20%
Wow.
of equity that's locked away that
Mhm.
just simply needs unlocking.
Wow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, Jessica. And that's it for Getting Your Edge, How to Right Size Your Home and Life podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We're edgegroupteam.com. Give us a call. The phone number is at the website, Revive Real Estate. Is that correct? Yeah. Thanks so much, Jessica. Appreciate it. Bye bye.